And we're live. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's webinar on Lead with Ownership with myself, Ben, and co-hosted by Liam. We'll be taking you all the way through our Lead with Ownership webinar today. If you could save your questions to the very end, we'll have time to get some Q&A done. If it cannot wait, then I will sit in the chat and I will answer them as we get to them. This should take no more than 30 minutes. Thank you again for joining us today. Hope you enjoy. Liam, over to you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Ben. Right, bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, right. Just a verbal yes. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see that perfectly.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for the introduction, Ben. I'll second Ben's introduction and welcome you to the Lead with Ownership 30-minute live training webinar. So without further ado, we will start. So who are we? So we are here and we help service business founders. We are all veterans. And we have led in every type of environment there is, whether that's Arctic, jungle, desert, you name it, we've led teams in those environments, whether that's through planned or unplanned situations, on ops, on exercise, we've led those teams. And with that becomes a certain amount of experience and ability to pass on those experiences to the to industry. We have built a 12-week workshop and that's built on the extreme ownership principles from Echelon Front. So the aim of this session is to score your business with our 5 areas of owner dependency, and we will know where the bottleneck is and what it is that's costing you. So I'll say from this point on, I will not get my cheerleading outfit on and nobody will from Kaizen Summit, because we're not here to be your cheerleaders. I'm not here to give you a hard sell, and everything that has been taught here is through theory. There's no theory without application. Everything has been done through experience. Everything that has been taught, again, has been done through experience from our experienced mentors. So again, we're not here to cheerlead, not hard sell, and everything's done through application. So who is this for? So your business is performing. You've got a team, and on paper, they're working really well. But the first sign of trouble or issues, you're the first person that they're going to call, which means that you need to approve every discussion, or you need to approve every decision, which you shouldn't really need to be doing. These are some decisions that are low level, can be done through your employees, but for some reason, all of those decisions are coming through you. You may have found yourself not having been on holiday for years, and you think that if you stop working on the business will not continue. Well, let me tell you now, you've come to the right place, and this session is absolutely for you. So how can we help? So we use the extreme ownership framework, which I mentioned before. And what we essentially do is we identify a problem, or we'll get you to identify the problem within your business. We explain the consequences. And then with those consequences, we then take ownership of those consequences. And as I'll go through in a little bit later, a good leader will take responsibility and they will take ownership of those issues. We will then offer/find a solution. And then once we've done that, we will then review, we'll give feedback. And that is the endless cycle of what we do at Kaizen Summit, just to keep on with that continuous improvement. So therefore, I propose a question. And that question is, if you disappeared for 2 weeks, what would break first? Now, that question doesn't need to be answered now, But what I'd like you to do throughout this session, throughout this presentation, just have that question in the back of your mind. If you were to disappear for 2 weeks, what would break first? Because I can imagine your current reality is you've hit your revenue ceiling. You're working harder and harder and harder, and you're just not breaking through. Your team is active, they're doing everything that you want them to do, but they're not taking ownership and they're not taking accountability of what it is that they need to be doing, which then you find yourself, you find that you need to therefore be there for when to make sure that the business is running. Now, I don't know about you, but I've certainly been micromanaged before, and it's not a very good position to be in. But you feel that you need to make those decisions for your employees because you don't want them to make a mistake. But what we're having to do here, or what we'd like to do, is stop you from being that micromanagement manager if you are in that position, or stop being micromanaging. And the way to do that is to build an environment for your employees to be accountable, for your employees to take ownership. Because if they don't do that, they'll think, well, what's the point? If I send the wrong email to the wrong person, or if I write an email, send it to the CEO, they'll just rewrite it. So what's the point in writing it? And then that's a downward spiral for you and your team. So how do we prevent this from happening? Well, we need to be able to react and prioritize. What you're probably finding is you're trying to tackle the closest crocodile to the canoe. You're trying to put out fires. You're trying to stop all the little issues from getting in. Now, you need to be able to stop that. And by doing that, you need to be able to create a plan. We call this in the military the ability to have a condor moment, stop, take stock, come up with a plan, execute that plan, and prioritize. And you're not having the ability to do that because you've not created the environment for your team to be able to help you to prioritize. Therefore, your communication becomes unclear. That passage of information becomes really murky, and your team don't know what to do. Therefore, there's no direction. You've got one mission, you know what you want to do, you know what you want to achieve, but there's no direction because the mission becomes blurred through lack of communication. We've got a 12-week workshop that is built on extreme ownership that will help you, guide you, support you, and help you build your team in taking ownership and moving you into breaking that next barrier, breaking into the next financial zone, bringing your product out towards the market, making you bigger, making you stronger, making you more effective as a team. So we'll start off with the two foundation workshops, and that is extreme ownership. So they're 12, I'll just correct myself. It's 12 workshop, not 12 weeks. Apologies. 12 workshops. So we'll start with 2 workshops initially, and that is ownership and standards. So arguably one of the most important one is extreme ownership. And every problem is a leadership problem. If the leader takes ownership of whatever the issue might be, that leader will find that the rest of the team will start taking ownership. By taking ownership, individuals as well as the leader will then come up with a solution. Therefore, that solution becomes their problem or their issue. They then have ownership of that, and then they can then push it forward and come up with a solution. The second workshop is no bad teams, only bad leaders. Now, there's a saying that we've got in the military, and that is the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. So as a leader, you set the standards. You lead by example. Your team will look up to you. If you're not doing it, your team won't do it. If you take ownership, your team will take ownership. So being that leader who is out in front, taking ownership, your team will follow you and do the same. The next two workshops is mindset. Okay. And the third workshop in total is believe. So believing in the mission, believing in what you want to do, bringing your team forward and getting them to believe in what your mission is and what you want to achieve, getting them aligned to what you want to do, putting them on that one track mindset of we are going to achieve X amount by this year, setting those goals, having that mindset to push the team forward, and getting them to believe in what they're doing is the right thing will set you in good stead for the future. And to do that, we need to control our ego, because inevitably you will make mistakes. We all do. Heck, my whole life has been made on mistakes. We need to own those mistakes and continue forward. There'll be people out there that will say that you're doing it wrong, you need to do this, you need to do that. Take the information on board. It might not necessarily work for your business, but there might be something there that does work. So having the ability to stand back and say, you know what, I've made a mistake. We've done that wrong. We need to now switch direction is a huge asset for you to have. And to build that into your team will set your team apart from the rest. So we'll then move on to the next, which is team execution. Now, cover and move is a military term. And what we mean by that is you'll have in a firefight, you'll have one person laying down suppressive fire whilst the other person moves. We're keeping the enemy's head down whilst we move out of that situation. It works in industry as well. So what we mean by that is if I go sick, or if I'm on holiday, or if I need to pick my kids up from school early, I'll have somebody within the business who will step up and take on some of my responsibilities over the next couple of days, weeks, whatever it might be. So the business will continue on moving forward, albeit I won't be there, or whoever it won't be there, but the business and the mission will continue on moving forward. And that's where your belief system also kicks in. But to do that, we need to keep it simple. Again, in the military, we've got a term called keep it simple, stupid. What that simply means is you want to keep whatever plan you're doing as easy and as basic as possible. If you overcomplicate it, people will get lost and will not understand what it is you want to achieve. And keeping simple communication, simple planning, simple execution means that everything should run smoothly. And if anybody's got any issues or concerns or have anything to raise, they will then raise it in a way using simple communication. To do that, we need to be able to prioritize and execute. Now, that for me is quite simply writing out a to-do list. And it seems a bit lame, but I like to tick these little tiny jobs that I've got to do throughout the day. I get a little bit of a kick out of it when I've got a tick. And at the end of the day, if all those ticks are complete, then I'm a happy man. So I'm prioritizing and I'm executing those jobs where possible. So if I've got a job to do that's required at the end of the year, but I've got something that needs to be handed in today, a piece of work, I'm not going to focus on that job that I'm needing to be done by Christmas. I'm focusing on the one that needs to be completed today. So that's the ability to prioritize and to execute. So then the next two workshops is decentralized command. Now you're probably feeling everything's coming through you. Now that could be small decisions, as in what are you having for lunch today, to where's the company going to be in 5 years' time. All those decisions are coming through you. Now, having the ability to empower your team, give them ownership, and let them have the ability to make the small decisions will alleviate those small decisions for you to make the strategic decisions to move the business forward. Gives them the ability to empower themselves. If you need to create that environment where they feel like they can make those decisions. If they make a wrong decision, you need to be there to support them. But essentially, you want them to make the decision, because they might come up with a plan that's far better than what you originally thought. And then it may improve the business. If it deviates from what your goals or your mission, then it's your responsibility to bring them back onto line. But having the ability to step back and give them command will have a huge weight off your shoulders. Now, you need to be able to lead up and down the chain of command. Now, you might feel that you're at the top of the food chain, so communicating down might be something that comes naturally to you. But equally, you've got the customer, and arguably they're above you. So the customer needs becomes more important than yours when it comes to what they require from your business. Now, having the ability to be able to communicate with them effectively and communicate with your team effectively is key. So having the ability to communicate up and down that chain of command is huge. Being able to humanize with people, being able to support your team, but equally understand the customer needs, having the ability to work up and down that chain is huge in this environment. So then that comes on to planning. So we've kept it simple. Initially, the plan needs to be simple, but in the military, we call no plan survives contact. What that means is when it all goes wrong, the plan goes out the window. So we need to be able to come up with plan A, B, C, and D. That makes it more complicated. But what we're trying to do is we need to be able to there's the mission, here's the plan, here's the goals. Right, if something goes wrong, we need to be able to do this. You red team it. And you go through that plan, come up with any issues that you might foresee, because there are going to be issues that you can't foresee. But if there are ones that you can foresee that may or may not happen, you need to be able to react to or respond to those incidences. And then you need to be decisive, because in uncertainty. So when those plans go wrong, you know you've got a plan B. If it continues on to go wrong, you need to be able to step back, take a condor moment, and make a decisive action. Now, having the ability to allow your team to make those decisions, make that decisive action is huge, because it means that you don't need to do that. Allow your team to have the ability to make those decisions. Now, it could be the wrong decision. That's where you come in and help and support. But equally, it might be a better course of action than what you initially thought. And to do that, you've got to have discipline. Discipline, consistency for everything that we do. You need to have that consistency. Continue on pushing forward. There's a goal. We need to continue on with that goal. We need to believe in that mission and keep pushing forward, showing up every day, day in, day out, regardless of the situation, having that discipline to continue and build that into your team will have a massive advantage and set you apart from the rest of the field out in the commercial world. So I've got questions here. So if you do have any questions, please highlight them in the comments box and Ben will get back to you within those questions. But I'll continue on and then we'll have a slide towards the end where we'll get some more questions in at the end. So what does working with us look like? So we will continue on doing webinars. We will do the workshops where we'll conduct the webinars. We'll conduct the webinars, which is what we're doing now, but then we'll have a workshop online program where we will set up a program where we'll deliver the workshops that suit you and your team, and we'll come up with a plan moving forward. But predominantly workshops will be conducted online. Now we do have deeper development programs where we can look at companies coming towards us, and we will then go and do like face-to-face workshops. Again, that's something that can be discussed in the initial phases, but yeah, we do webinars, we do workshops, and there is a possibility of doing face-to-face. So our online workshop series is 12 live online workshops. And again, as stated before, it's born through practical application. So everything that we've been teaching, or everything that is discussed on those workshops, have been lived and breathed. We've lived and breathed that throughout our careers, and we've made those. We've conducted that application. We've had that application through making mistakes, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and it's all delivered through experienced mentors. So the value of it. So by the end of the 12-week workshop, you'll have a team that takes ownership. You'll have they'll have the ability to make decisions and not feel like they're being micromanaged and not everything's going through you. You have removed yourself from any decisions that shouldn't need you. So those minor decision makings, that tactical level that shouldn't really involve you, all those decisions are being taken care of by your team. You're just focused on the strategic mission and the strategic areas for your company. You'll be able to take a week off. You'll be able to put the phone away, go somewhere and be able to switch off and spend some quality time with your family, because that's essentially what you're doing it for. You want to be able to spend, you've created this business, you've created this business for you and your family. Now, you don't want to be completely engulfed in that 24/7, 365. You want to be able to utilize the opportunity to spend that time with your family and stepping away. You've built a business that runs on systems, not your you've run a business and it runs on systems. Okay, so that's what these workshops are for, and we are there to assist you in every way possible beyond the investment in it. So we are here to support you throughout. So for that, you get 12 live workshops on operational leadership mentors, and you'll also get the digital learning journal, as stated on the screen there, peer cohorts through the community platform. We record every single session and they're available for 7 days. Once that 7 days is done, a new workshop will be uploaded, and then that will continue on throughout the time that you're conducting the workshops. There are 2 downloadable ebooks, and we are recognized with the Institute of Leadership. We are accredited with them, and therefore you will also, if you wish, will be accredited with the Institute of Leadership. Now, with all that said, that would be an investment of 997 for all of those workshops and everything that I've mentioned before, including the mentors giving you their experience and their experience and their mistakes to then hopefully bring you guys and your team forward. So what's the next step? So the next step is quite simply going on to the Lead with Ownership link on the screen on the Kaizen Summit website, and go through the bottleneck questionnaire. So that's a screenshot of the site. So you'll go onto there, you'll see the extreme ownership Lead with Ownership on the website, on the Kaizen Summit website, and it will take you through all the processes that you need to do to get yourself loaded up onto the course. With that said, that concludes the presentation. I just want to say thank you very much for everybody listening to the presentation, and if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them. I will now unshare my screen and we'll have Ben back on the call.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Liam. So like Liam just said there, once you've completed it, head to leadwithownership.kaizen-summit.com, fill out the assessment. It's completely free to do. There's no obligation at the end of it. It's going to rank you, and you can give you a score about how you're performing and how your team's performing, give you all some really good information on the results page about where you are currently and then how to get to the next level. And if you want to dive deeper with us, then you can book a call with us and get you booked on to the next cohort. So I will get to the questions. Hang around. We'll stop the recording so that this isn't recorded live, and we'll answer your questions right now. So again, Liam, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the Q&A.
Thank you very much.